Holiday greetings, everyone. I am Reverend Laureen Williams, and on behalf of One Spirit Learning Alliance and the Ministers of Color Sacred Circle, those of us serving you this evening, and the Greater Collective, I thank you for the blessing of your presence this evening. The Ministers of Color Sacred Circle is a collective that was conceptualized and founded in spring 2020 by Reverend Carol Aziza Reed, class of 2003. It was created to support OSLA ministers, graduates, and students who identify as Black, Indigenous, people of color to address the disparate impact of COVID-19 within communities of color. We come together to share resources, personal projects that serve our communities, while also providing opportunities for leadership, spiritual practice, inspiration, connection, and fellowship. Currently, we meet on the second Saturday of the month from 6 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. You can learn more about us on the One Spirit website under the tabs Community Affinity Groups. Now I'd like to introduce the members from the Ministers of Color who will be serving this evening. I will introduce them in the order of their offerings. First, it is Reverend Rukaya Nabe, class of 2006. She will offer the opening prayer, followed by libations and calling of names given by Reverend Jet Wilson, class of 2013. Also, the class of 2013 is Reverend Arlie Leonard, who will be calling in traditions. Reverend Erskine Matthews, class of 2015, will offer a reflection. Then we'll hear again from Reverend Arlie, who will gift us with an embodiment song. Then I will follow with a sermonette. I am class of 2013. Then we will close as we began with Reverend Rukaya offering the closing prayer. Now that you have the lay of the land, I want to say a few words about our theme. Next Tuesday marks the Winter Solstice, when we experience the longest and darkest nights of the year and the shortest days with the least amount of daylight. It is a sacred time of rest and reflection before the awakening and slow build to brighter days. It is an invitation to go within, to befriend the still, quiet darkness, that we might hear the voice of our own soul, whispering its eternal truth, that no matter how long or dark the night, the light is. David, please cue the opening music. Let us all take a collective deep breath. Inhale as we connect to the still, quiet energy of the winter solstice. Then exhale as we presence the new life that arrives with each breath we take.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. All praises to God, creator and sustainer of all the worlds, creator of the cosmos, the galaxies, our earthly home, creator of all people, all creatures, all things. We come before you exactly as we are, individuals and the collective. We acknowledge you, we praise you, we remember you as we give thanks to you and beseech your mercy. Blessed are you, our God, who creates us varied and many, needing one another. Blessed are our traditions, varied and many, requiring each other. Blessed is our time together. May it provide us nourishment for us and for our world. Blessed are you, eternal God, sovereign of the world, who has sanctified us with commandments and commended us to protect life. We beseech you, O Divine One, to please go before us, making easy, instant, and perfect our way. Let all our ways be pleasant ways. Let all our paths be peace, and let our paths lead to your truth. So be it. So it is. It is so. Amen. Amen. Ashe. Aho.
Thank you, Reverend Rukaya. Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. Come by here, Lord. Water reflects light. Water refracts light. It magnifies the light, transforming it into colors, shapes, hues, and dimensions. Water is life-giving. Water is healing. Light and water together sustain life. I'd like to invite and honor the Orisha of water, Yemaya. She gives birth to other Orisha. Yemaya gives birth to lakes, to rivers, to oceans and bodies of water. Yemaya gives birth and support to healing. We bless now this water for libations. Ahumilaro, ahumilashe, ahumilaro, ahumilashe. Our voice is a spirit. Our voice is a command. Egbati won felio mi lowo ki ifo. Awoti wonti felio mi lowo ki ifaya ashe. Any plate placed in the care of water could never be broken. Any calabash placed in the care of water can never be broken. Ashe. And now, with this blessed water, let us offer libations. Omi tutu, omi tutu, omi tutu. Fresh water, fresh water, fresh water. To freshen our paths, to freshen our homes, to freshen our ancestors, to freshen our Godhead, our Ori, to freshen the soul, to freshen the world, to freshen Eshu. May we give birth to brighter indwelling lights that lead us to new thoughts and new paradigms. May we give birth to renewed ways of seeing, renewed ways of hearing. May we give birth to new ways of listening, new ways of tasting. May we heal that which needs to be healed so that the light may shine. May we give and forgive that which needs to be forgiven so that the light of love may shine forth. We honor the superlative supreme power God of all names beyond names. God, Goddess, all that is, Olodumare. We honor the Orisha that governs our comings in and our goings out, our openings and our closings. We honor the divine Orisha that carries our messages and prayers to the heavens as Shu. We honor all of the Orisha. We honor the spirit of our colleagues at One Spirit who have transitioned. We honor Mojuba Joyce Lichtenstein, Mojuba Athena, class of 2013, and Candace, class of 2013. Mojuba Anne-Marie Zatiagosta from the class of 2010, Mojuba Kia Abele from the class of 2010. We honor those who have died of COVID. And we honor the Native people on whose lands we reside, work, and play. I now invite you, beloveds, to unmute and to honor the spirit of your ancestors and beloveds who are with us in spirit. I will pour until the water is done. Please call out the names of your beloveds. Host, would you kindly unmute the room as I pour?
Antonia Garcia,
Edward and Lorraine
and Brinkerhoff,
Jackman,
Caleb,
Newman,
Ansel, Isaac
Lewis,
Ansel,
Bailey,
Pam,
Murdoch,
Hayes,
Lee Walker, and William Moore Hayes.
Evelyn, my aunt, Grandma Tora,
We didn't know
Emily,
Nickerson, Brahma,
many that sometimes are forgotten.
Bye.
all those who are
People who have no one to call for them.
Rosalie,
Jahan,
Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. And finally, we close with this. Eshu Mashe Pikun, Eshu Fifon Miona Tutu. Eshu, please give us a smooth path. Please do not close the doors on us and allow us to close the doors to things, situations, circumstances, and those who would do us harm. Ashe.
Ashe. Thank you, Reverend Jet, for that beautiful offering in your wonderful new home. So here we are at the winter solstice, our theme being celebrating the winter solstice. The light is. I'm going to take you on a brief journey calling in traditions and invite you at the end to call in traditions that are meaningful for you at this time of year and in this season of light at the winter solstice. Welcoming in the light in the north, welcoming, saying goodbye to the light in the south. And so this celebration of light, the first light, first a big bang, then perhaps 300,000 years ago, matter found its way in our universe from opaque to transparent, with photons energized in the center of our glorious sun. And of course, we are of that matter that is light energy, with the opportunity to ignite our own light. Many traditions around the world celebrate this time, one being the spirit of Christmas, calling in
the Christian celebration of the birth of Jesus, the Son of God, Jesus Christ. This steeped in pagan roots, first being celebrated by the Romans in 336, building on traditions celebrating all the way back. We can go to the Egyptians, calling in Sun Ra, the god of the sun, calling in goddesses of the sun, calling in Wadjet and Sekhmet and Hathor and Nut, calling in ancient traditions, welcoming that light that is the glorious sun, calling in the tradition of Diwali from India, one of the oldest celebrations of light in the world, calling in Diwali, celebrated by many traditions, by Hindus, by Sikhs, by Newar Buddhists, by Jains. Many celebrate this celebration, calling in auspicious blessings, commencement of nirvana, and much more. Calling in Diwali. Calling in from China, Dongxi Festival, a winter solstice celebration celebrated around the world by many. Thailand, the Loy Krathong Festival, featuring a ritual believed to carry away the bad and bring in the good fortune. Going south of the border, calling in a temple by the Aztecs, built by the Aztecs, called Woodhenge, aligned to catch the rays of the sun, just so, which so many temples, ancient temples and caves and with stones built in such ways to recognize and honor the light as it moves through the celestial sky. In our lands here in America, in New Mexico, the Chalaco Festival, calling in the Chalaco Festival, a multi-day celebration of the winter solstice for the Zuni peoples, providing blessings and balance for the coming seasons and the agricultural year. In Japan, calling in Omasoka, celebrated on New Year's Eve to cross over from one year to the next. Temple bells being struck at midnight 108 times, representing our earthly desires believed to cause human suffering. Calling in Hanukkah, Festival of the Lights, celebrating the rededication of the Second Temple of Jerusalem, where those miraculous oil that spanned 8 nights, celebrating that tradition of Hanukkah, calling in Hanukkah from all over the corner, every corner of the world. Calling in Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa, celebrated, initially created by Dr. Maulana Karenga in 1966, right here in the United States, referencing traditions from many harvest festivals from all over the continent of Africa, bringing those different traditions in to form the basis of Kwanzaa. We celebrate with candles 7 nights, starting on December 26th and completing on New Year's Eve, with a different cultural focus each night, now celebrated on every continent by millions of people, calling in Kwanzaa. Calling in Boxing Day, something that originated in the Middle Ages as a way for people that were servants to celebrate Christmas the day after Christmas on the 26th, and now a celebration in many parts of the world, including in the Bahamas. They call it the Junkaroo Festival. Calling in Boxing Day, calling in these traditions and so many more. I invite our host to unmute everyone, and we can take a few moments. If there are particular traditions that speak to you, you may name them, call them out now, as we did the calling of the names before, and just bring light to the traditions that speak to your heart at this time. Go ahead and unmute yourselves now.
The safe times after Uragan times. The safe darkness for families to gather.
Everyone can feel free to call out as you will. No order.
The prayers that were made along the sacred Nile that we don't all know and be aware of.
Calling in Yule and Blue Star Wicca, the Lady and the rebirth of the Lord that we anticipate.
Story of Judith, it's also part of Hanukkah, and how she stood up to her harasser and took a stand.
Zoroastrianism and the fire.
Any more traditions to be named, called in, celebrated at this time? Honoring
Christmas and the bright star that called in light to guide all those to the one eternal light.
Calling in Shinto, recognizing sacred spirit in all things, animate and inanimate.
Calling in the Jayanti, the birth anniversary of our beloved Swami Satchidanandaji, who brought in many interfaith traditions.
Beautiful. Any more?
Calling in the Dakinis, the sky dancers in Buddhism. Feminine wisdom.
Yes. Calling in Mother Nature, Father Sky, the ground on which we walk, that supports us, that gives life, that grows life. Calling in the night, the light from the sky. Anybody else?
Calling in Sufism, which is Islamic metaphysics.
Thank you very much. Can you all hear me okay? I hope you can. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for calling in, just honoring all that has been called in, blessing, thanking these traditions that nurture us through the centuries, through the years, through the moments of time with our family and friends, into our souls, in our lives. We give thanks for the many traditions that have been named here today and those that have not been named and that are yet to come. We say thank you, and I pass to the next person. You can remute everyone.
Thank you, Reverend Arlie. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. The winter solstice, Tuesday, December 21st, 2021, is the longest night of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. It is also the night that the stars shine their light longer than any other night of the year. Shining along with those stars is a light that shines from a religious denomination established by the descendants of enslaved Africans in North America called the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Today, the African Methodist Episcopal Church, commonly known as the AME Church, has a membership of around 3 million people globally in 20 Episcopal districts in 39 countries on 5 continents, bringing light and hope to people in their brightest days and in their darkest hours. But how the AME Church came to be is as inspiring as it is present day works are enlightening. In order for us to understand why and how the AME Church came into existence, we will have to go back hundreds upon hundreds of winter solstices. Allow me to briefly reflect on the light that still shines from the soul of a man who was born enslaved during the dark night of American slavery, a dark night that lasted for centuries. Upon his birth, his name was Negro Richard, a name that he would later change. Negro Richard was born enslaved to an enslaver named Benjamin Chew in the state of Delaware on February 14th, 1760. He was eventually sold to another enslaver named Stokely Sturgis. Negro Richard would be 16 years old the year 1776 when the 13 colonies didn't find it hypocritical to issue the Declaration of Independence from Great Britain while they themselves were enslaving people of African descent. During his enslavement, Negro Richard attended meetings of the local Methodist Society, which was welcoming to enslaved and free Black people and spoke out against slavery. Richard joined the Methodists at the age of 17 and began bringing hope and light in the dark night by preaching to other enslaved people. This angered many enslavers. Oral history teaches that young Negro Richard's sermons were so stirring, powerful, uplifting, and enlightening that even Richard's enslaver, Stokely Sturgis, was moved by a sermon that he had overheard Richard deliver to other enslaved people. But Stokely Sturgis's heart remained too hardened to grant Negro Richard his freedom. It is written that the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. The only options available for Negro Richard to free himself was to, one, escape from enslavement through the Underground Railroad, or two, purchase his freedom from his enslaver. Richard chose the latter option. This required Richard to continue rendering slave labor to his enslaver from can't see in the morning till can't see in the evening, and then go to work a night shift to earn enough slave wages to eventually purchase his freedom. In the year 1780, at the age of 20, Negro Richard purchased his freedom from his enslaver and immediately changed his name from Negro Richard to Richard Allen. As a freedman, Richard Allen continued preaching and evangelizing in Delaware, Maryland, and DC, and was allowed to lead services at 5 a.m. inside of Methodist Episcopal churches throughout that area. These segregated services were attended by Black people, all who had to be out of the church by the time the services for the white people were scheduled to begin. And oral history goes on to teach that one of Richard Allen's church services ran over time and was rudely interrupted by the white members of the church. The very people who were advocating, working, and sacrificing for the abolishment of slavery did not find it hypocritical to teach the Black members of the Methodist Episcopal Church so poorly. Even this degrading treatment from allies did not darken nor dim the light that shined within Richard Allen. On the contrary, this treatment made his light shine brighter. For wisdom teaches that darkness does not drive out darkness, only light can do that. Richard Allen did not remain where he was merely tolerated. He left Delaware to Philadelphia. He left the Methodist Episcopal Church, and with the help of others, established the African Methodist Episcopal Church, a new denomination where he and his congregation was not merely tolerated, but greatly appreciated. In the year 1791, at the age of 31, Richard Allen purchased the land for a church, and he and his congregation eventually built a church named Mother Bethel AME, Church of Philadelphia. It is there where he would become Bishop Richard Allen. Mother Bethel AME Church is the oldest property continuously owned by descendants of enslaved Africans in the United States of America, where church services continue to be conducted this very present day. Because Richard Allen, Bishop Richard Allen, shined his light and trusted his light to navigate him through the long, cold, dark night of slavery over 200 winter solstices ago, is why today millions upon millions of members of the AME Church are shining their light for others. And although I'm not a member of the AME Church, the light of Bishop Richard Allen communicates to myself and so many others that no matter how long, dark, or cold the night may be, the light that shines within each of us can lead us to brighter days. As it has been written, while I am in the world, I am the light of the world. Amen. Amen. Ashe, Aho, the light is.
Ooh, yes, 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 yes. Thank you, Reverend Erskine. The light is, and we are the light. And I'd like to invite us all to participate in India Ari's beautiful song that many of you probably know, I Am Light. You will all be muted for the singing, but I invite you to see the words that will be on the screen with the music. And I also put the lyrics in the chat. And to just recognize your body. You can go ahead and start the music, David. Just recognizing you are a tuning fork of light. You are light. And we have that opportunity to call it in to our heart, call it in to our soul, call it in with our breath. If you want to stand and move, you may. If you want to sit and move, please do. Awaken your body. I am light. 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 I am not the things my family need. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. I am light. Big breath in. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light. Call it in. Call it in. I am light. I am light. I'm not the mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that cause me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. Hope you're singing along. Oh, I am light. 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 I am not the color of my eyes. I am not my skin on the outside. I am not my feet. I am not my race. My soul inside is all light. All light. Oh. Perhaps you want to click on gallery view and sing to somebody in particular. Just pick out someone and share your light, or receive it if you need to receive tonight. I am divinity divine. I am the God on the inside. I am the star, a piece of it all. I am light. Thank you.
Thank you, Arlie, for that beautiful rendition of I Am Light. You know, just as Richard Allen emerged from the longest night of slavery to embody a clearer, steadier, brighter light and create a new beginning called the AME Church, we too have an opportunity before us as the winter solstice approaches. Not just at one spirit as we take on the new beginning to become an anti-racist institution, but as members of a society whose longest night began with the inception of this country, when the relationship between human being to human being was severed with the creation of slave and master. A separation which deepened with the identification of white versus Black. A separation further legislated in a constitution with the calculation of a whole human being as 3/5 of a free individual. A legacy of separation that continues to flourish amidst the labels we give one another. Labels to distance ourselves socially, to cut each other out of our hearts where the light is. Yet, are we not divinely designed as social beings, given by the relationship to love and be loved? Is not our purpose, individually and collectively, to live the light of love as clear, steady, and bright as possible, especially during the longest of nights? Where in your life have you added to this legacy of the longest night as separation? Is it with those who are vaccinated? Or maybe those who are not? Is it with Republicans or perhaps Democrats? Maybe with those who are citizens, immigrants, as someone who is undocumented, or vice versa? Or could it be much closer to home, with a mother or father, a sister or a brother, a colleague or a friend? Where in your life can you bring the least amount of light to the longest night to reconcile relatedness and restore relationship? The least amount of light in picking up the phone to say hello. The added light of I'm sorry. The compounded light of I forgive you. We cannot be ambassadors of something that we're not living at the personal level. Will you leave here and be an ambassador? Live as the embodiment of the light is. For the light is ever present, powerful, and full of new, glorious, unending possibilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Loreen. Thank you for those beautiful, powerful words. I will now share with you a Winter Solstice prayer by Richard Hayes. It's a poem, it's a blessing, and a prayer. The dark shadow of space leans over us. We are mindful that the darkness of greed, exploitation, and hatred also lengthens its shadow over our small planet Earth. As our ancestors feared death and evil and all the dark powers of winter, we fear that the darkness of war, discrimination, and selfishness may doom us and our planet to an eternal winter. May we find hope in the light we have kindled on this sacred night. Hope in one another and in all who form the webwork of peace and justice that spans the world. In the heart of every person on this earth burns the spark of luminous goodness. In no heart is there total darkness. May we who have celebrated this solstice tonight by our lives, by our service, by our prayers, by our love. Call forth from one another the light and the love that is hidden in every heart. So be it. So it is. It is so. Amen, amen, ashe, aho. Happy holidays, everyone, and may the light be with you.
Aho. Thank you, Reverend Rakaya, for that lovely closing prayer. As we complete, let us celebrate the winter solstice with music and allow the beat of the drums to connect to the beat of your heart. Allow it to break up any darkness within, and may you emerge as a brighter expression of the light is. David, you can play the closing music. Move as you will. We thank you for the honor and privilege of serving you this evening. Have a gloriously fruitful winter solstice. And so I turn it over to Mark Fowler, to Reverend Mark Fowler.
The Ministers of Color Circle is complete.
Thank you, Laureen, and thank you everyone for this beautiful offering tonight. So I've been asked to make an ask, to make a request, and it's for money. And I want to use a little bit of what we've heard tonight. I learned about darkness at an occasion like this, when our now ancestor, Reverend Candace Simmons, played the bells for us. And she talked about the fascination that we have with the light without giving proper honor to the darkness. When I think about my life before one spirit, I would say that I couldn't have probably made that distinction on my own. That I wouldn't have necessarily had the spiritual depth or presence to understand that there was a moment in one of the sacred writings when the light and the dark were one. And they were separated not because one was better than the other, but so that they might both serve their unique purposes, the first day and the first night. We are at nighttime at One Spirit, with flickers of light of a future of an anti-racist organization, with flickers of light of an organization that will grow and be a light unto others, and will create a sacred container, a dark cocoon where people will look to us and explore their own journey towards being equitable institutions, to training people to be of sacred service in the face of all of their identities and their inequities. That's who we are today. And so I ask you now to make a gift to One Spirit. And I ask you to give till it hurts. I ask you to give from the place where Spirit speaks to you and directs you to do, and you argue and then surrender. I ask you to surrender tonight to that which Spirit is speaking to you about in terms of a financial contribution to the future that One Spirit is. Before I started seminary, one of my greatest concerns was, would I be able to serve people that I just could not stand, that got on my nerve endings? Was I going to be able to provide sacred service to the guy on the Staten Island ferry who fell out after hearing him spew all manner of horrible things about people he didn't know or understand? And I almost didn't want to come to seminary because my answer before One Spirit was, I just don't know that I could do that. But I was held in a dark womb for 2 years with brothers and sisters as we journeyed to understand ourselves and to recognize that all that we had declared darkness within us was actually what we needed to serve. I owe One Spirit that. And so I ask you to join me tonight in making a gift that will make a difference for people that you may never meet and who will likely never know your name. But your gift will impact their lives in ways that none of us can predict. There is a challenge grant that we have at this time. Someone sees the light that One Spirit is and has offered $29,000. If we can raise $29,000, I think we can do that. And we can get that settled tonight. I believe information has been dropped into the chat by which you would do that. And I would ask you, as we go past the longest night, to consider what does whatever your soul loves most, to honor that in your daily living, whether it's in the light of day or in the depth of night. I pray that that which is greater than all of us will keep you. So let it be.
Thank you, Mark. And thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. And most importantly, thank you to our beautiful Ministers of Color Sacred Circle for planning this amazing, amazing evening. Such a deep service, such an important message, so beautifully done. Thank you all. And thank you, everyone, who has been a part of One Spirit for the past year and who's going to be with us for many years to come. I'd like to now turn this over briefly to Reverend Gordon Brode to explain how our house party, the first One Spirit house party, will happen.